Good afternoon, everyone. Phil Simons here with Columbia Grain and your weekly grain market recap. Today, Ryan Stotts, your barley and durum trader, is with us to give us a little bit of a rundown on what's going on in the barley market. Really, Ryan, before we get into what's going on in the barley market, I just wanted to do another recap on what we've been talking about here recently, and that's price volatility. I am going to share my screen with you again here just so that we can see what the weekly ranges have been this week by themselves. Again, starting on the left-hand side of your screen, if we take a look at where December corn had traded this week, we see that the actual weekly range has been another 58-cent range. We were actually able to hold on to 23 cents of the change here this week. Looking next at November beans, we see that the weekly range was 96 cents again, with a weekly change of 23 cents to the good. Next up would be Kansas December wheat. We see again a massive range for a week of $1.02, but only actually able to hold on to 34 cents. Chicago wheat next, again, a big range of $1.10 with a weekly change of positive 47 cents. Finally, Minneapolis Dees looks like it had an overall range of $1.17 and was able to hold on to 44 cents throughout the week. The big thing to remember here is that when we're looking at the weekly ranges on Wednesday, we actually made new fresh lows, and we actually traded under where we started the year out, specifically in Minneapolis wheat. But then in the amount of 2 days, we did rally the wheat complex as a whole by close to $1.15. So again, we just can't stress how important it is to get your orders out there and working, because in this environment, the volatility is definitely going to continue, and we're going to see these kind of price movements going forward. But with that, Ryan, I would definitely see the same kind of situation going on in barley as well in terms of acreage and production. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. We're going to kind of look at what's been going on with that as well. So Ryan, what's going on with barley?
Yeah, so as Phil mentioned, my name is Ryan Stotts, and I trade the barley with Columbia Grain International. And today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about markets, a little bit about conditions and ratings. But before we get too much into today's environment, I wanted to take a step back and take a look at how we got to where we are today. Malt barley has probably experienced the most steady ride of all the major commodities we handle. And this was in large part due to the overall production that we experienced this last year. For the 2021-2022 crop, Montana's overall production was about 19 million bushels versus about 45 million bushels the prior year in a 40 million bushel crop year average. North Dakota's overall production was about 16 million bushels versus 29 million bushels the year before, and about a 31 million bushel crop year average. So both major production areas were down significantly. And this wasn't due to the low acreage numbers at all. It was actually due to extreme droughty conditions in both states that produced very poor yields and very poor quality throughout. So in line with this, the poor production steadily pushed prices higher throughout the marketing year. We started last year right around $4.50 per bushel to the grower. And in certain areas today, we're pushing about $8 a bushel. Wow. So fast forward to today's marketing environment. Because of the uptick in prices and the poor planting conditions throughout the month of April and May, barley, under the Act of God contracting programs that exist, was a pretty favorable planting choice. Montana's acreage was up about 16% year on year, while North Dakota's production, or acreage, was up about 19% year on year, and the US as a whole was up about 14% year on year. Now, a few things with this. Montana is still undergoing major drought conditions in certain areas. So while planting acreage was up, conditions are definitely spotty. You can go next slide. About a third of the crop is in very poor shape. You have a third of the crop that's doing okay, and you have about a third of the crop that's in pretty good conditions. Flip over to North Dakota. Yes, acreage was up year on year, 19%. However, North Dakota actually underwent very heavy rains throughout the month of May, and planting was extremely late throughout the state. So yes, crop conditions look very nice on paper. You have most of the crop in pretty good condition, but harvest dates will definitely be later this year. and weather risks will definitely be a concern that the market will keep its eye open for.
Yeah, that's a fantastic rundown, Ryan. I really do appreciate it. Especially with the footprint that we have in barley, primarily in North Dakota and Montana. That's a great rundown. Really do appreciate that. And just a reminder that next Tuesday, July 12th, we're going to have the monthly USDA data dump in terms of their supply and demand. So make sure to get your orders out there and working, because you just never know what those monthly numbers can do to the markets. And remember, if your strategy seems to be working well, you haven't used it long enough. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll talk with you next week.